Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go
Inside the Audition.
Well, hello everyone. Oh, look at this dramatic. Wow, what a showman.
Oh,
For those of you who are just listening to this podcast, you missed a grand entrance. He popped up from below the camera with a top hat. What is that?
This is top hat.
Wow.
Yep.
Ever the showman. You're vaudevillian. Welcome. This is episode 134 of Inside the Audition. I'm Lars. This is Brandon Knox, the top-hatted man.
And a top of the morrow to you.
I see what you did there. Yes. Also known as BK Broiler. How are you, Brandon?
I'm fantastic, Lars. It's been a great week so far, and I'm having a blast.
You were just here in the studio earlier. You had a few morning sessions with some of our Actors Audition Club members, and then you scooted home for the audition. For the podcast here. And we've got a doozy. So I think we should just get into it. And get our guest in here. It's been hard to believe today's guest is just appearing on the podcast, but he's here finally. He's too busy. He's always on set. He's always doing shows. He's always traveling all over the globe, but he's here today. Do we have a clip? We don't have a clip, do we?
No, but I'm going to be sharing his IMDb in the comments. So
all right, you will be sharing some clips. Okay, so I'll give him a little bit of an introduction. Our guest today, he's got tons of experience and success in film, TV, animation, radio and TV commercials, and interactive theater. You might have seen him on TV shows such as The Detectives, Murdoch Mysteries, Suits, Orphan Black, Degrassi, The Next Generation, Saving Hopes. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna take it back. I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna take it back. We need a clean.
You want an action? You want an action?
We need a clean one for the clip.
Yeah, come on.
For the internet. We'll edit all of this out. All right, here we go.
So, Pete's entrance, take two.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, he's got a ton of experience in film, television, animation, radio and TV commercials, and interactive theater. You might have seen him on such shows as The Detectives, Murdoch Mysteries, Suits, Orphan Black, Degrassi The Next Generation, Saving Hope, Hell on Wheels, Flashpoint, Nikita, Quantico, and most recently playing Mike McCluskey in the iconic show Heartland on CBC. And on top of all that, he's also the founder of BigTime Productions, doing interactive murder mysteries all over the world, of which Brandon and I get the pleasure of acting in those with him. Please welcome to the studio on Inside the Audition, Peter Dillon.
Hey. Hi, everybody.
Nailed it. Second time's a charm. Welcome. Good to see you, Peter.
Great to be here.
Yes. Well, first of all, we should say thanks for being on the podcast, and we're going to get into some of the big time stuff later, but thank you for all the work that you do in providing work opportunities for actors. I've been with Big Time for, I want to say 6 years now. Brandon for, you think 6, 7?
I'd say it's got to be 8.
Yeah?
It's got to be. Wow. We're in 2023 now.
What?
Yeah, COVID was 3 years.
Hang on. It's 2023.
I know. I don't believe it either. I have to check my watch.
Okay. I've got some explaining to do. There's been some people missing me for the last 3 years. But welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. You've got a ton of experience in TV and film, auditioning, and we also love you because you've been proactive in your own career, creating your own opportunities for yourself and for other actors. But first, our first segment is something called the 1 minute life story. Brandon's going to put 60 seconds up on a clock.
Oh boy.
And
it's going to count up.
It's going to count up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter Dillon's 1 minute life story. Action.
I didn't know I had to do this. Where do I begin? Let me see. Where do I begin? I begin because I've always wanted to be an actor. When I was very young, very little money in my family. We had a black and white TV, and we sat on a credenza. And the credenza is where our TV sat. We all sat around the living room watching it. Well, when the TV broke, my dad would literally take the tube out of the back of the TV and say, "Here, go down to the corner store and see if you can get a replacement tube." And then they ran out of tubes at the convenience store. This is, honest to God, this is the truth. So I came back. There was no news on that night. The TV was on the floor. The credenza sat empty. So I sat down on it. And the first thing I asked was, "What is a credenza?" And my mom said, "It's not a seat." But I sat there anyway, and I did the news for my family. And I made them laugh. And I kind of thought, well, this is really cool. 6 kids in my family, so getting attention was a big deal. And that kind of kicked things off. When I was in high school, my guidance counselor, I'm running out of time. My guidance counselor said, "What do you want to do for a living?" I said, "I want to be a comedic actor." Comedic actor? Nobody can do that. Ha, ha, ha. And anyway, this is where I am today. And it all worked out so far.
Ding, 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 ding. That was correct. That was Peter Dillon's 1 minute life story. Just for the record, I want to say, all of our listeners, you already know this. That is the most times the word credenza has ever been spoken on the podcast.
I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it.
I think that was a credenza's 1 minute life story.
It might have been. Yeah.
I don't know how that started.
Credenza, the
I know.
Peter Dillon story. Yeah, there's your biopic right there.
Yeah.
Welcome. All right. Well, let's since this is inside the audition, we like to have some focus on audition experiences. Do you remember one of your first successful professional bookings?
Yeah, I wanted to be a professional actor, and how do you do that, especially in a place like Ottawa, where I grew up? So there's a corner store near my house, a little convenience store called Yaggy's, and I hung out with the kids of the store owner. And I went in one day looking for this my buddy, who's one of the kids in the family, and his sister was behind the cash. I said, "Hey, where's Abdeen?" And they said, "Oh, Abdeen, he went down. There's a TV show, and they're doing this casting call, this cattle call." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she gave me the details. And so I ran back home, looked up where the TV studio was, found out how to get there by bus. And I went to this cattle call. And they said, "Okay, here's a little piece of the script." And I said, "Okay, great." And they said, "Wait here, and we're going to pair you up with somebody to audition for this thing." It was a teenage soap opera called Denim Blues on CTV's Ottawa affiliate. So I waited and waited and waited, and I got a chance to audition, and they set me up to audition with this girl who just happened to be Miss Teen Ottawa the year before. Beautiful, beautiful girl. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." First off, it's true what they say, great way to meet girls. But second of all, I thought, I'm going to have a lot of attention on our audition because she is beautiful and talented as well. I said, this is really going to work out well. And so we auditioned. She was wonderful, made the whole process really simple. And about a week later, they called and said, "Hey, we want you to come back and for this callback, have another audition." And I said, "Okay, great." And I couldn't wait to go and see Jane again, the Miss Teen Ottawa, but she wasn't there. And I asked where she was. She was my acting partner. And they said, no, you're the one that we want to see for this role. That was, I ended up landing the role of Tyler on Denim Blues. And there was a 13-part series. It was right around the beginning of Degrassi. So it was kind of like more of a teenage version of Degrassi. We were kind of a bit more cool and a bit more polished. Whatever happened to Degrassi, they got a bit more attention than we did, but I did 11 out of the 13 episodes, and it was great. I got my union card, and it really kind of kicked off a career, and that was 35 years ago. So,
wow. Yes. And you were not a one-hit wonder child actor. You've gone on to flourish. Had you taken classes or anything before that, or it was just like, what is this world? And you stumbled into it and it worked out?
Yeah, I think I may have taken like just a general interest theater class, and of course I did drama class in high school and that sort of thing, and got a lot of positive reinforcement. My high school drama teacher, Mr. Paul Armstrong, I remember doing a sketch, and he came up to me afterwards and said, "That was really funny. Like, you got a lot of talent." And he was as surprised as I was, but it was really one of the first times I really got a positive reinforcement from school. And so I credit him with a lot of with a lot of building up the thought in my head that this was possible. This is something I was maybe good at, and I should pursue and try. And but I took a few classes, and I didn't really like what I was learning so much, and so I ended up starting an acting school actually after a while because of my time on set. And I figured, well, nobody's really teaching about being on set, especially about the day player. Boy, there is a whole hidden world that, everyone wants to be the star and get on there and land a series and be on there all the time. But that's not, you can grow into that when you're a regular part of a series. It's the day player. Boy, they got the toughest job anywhere. You end up joining a family, a well-established family, and you're stepping on there. Everybody knows each other, from the craft services to wardrobe, and all of the actors. They know their ins and outs, the inside jokes, the directors, everybody knows each other. And you're stepping on there not knowing anybody. And it's the toughest job. I say it's like, I compare it to joining a house party at 3:00 in the morning. Everyone's drunk and in love, and you arrive sober to drive people home, and people are like, hey, and you really have to get up to speed very quickly and try to find your way to fit in. And that's what I wanted to focus on with the acting school. I really wanted to talk about, okay, you're showing up, and it's you're walking into somebody else's production. How are you going to make yourself feel comfortable in front of the camera? What are you going to do? Who do you need to know? And of course, this is far after the initial audition process, but it was an integral part that I thought needed to be taught.
Yeah, that's a great point. You are like, it's especially if it's been a few seasons, you're walking into this well-oiled machine. When you were saying house party, I was thinking house party or like senior year of high school, but then you're the new kid and everybody already has their best friends and their cliques, and you know how things operate, and you're just wandering around like, where's my locker?
Yeah, and to a degree, you don't know if you're ever going to see these people again. So
Right.
You want to make a really good impression. You want to be on when you meet them. You don't want to be stumbling about and asking where the library is. You want to be the one who's offering to get cigarettes by the gym afterwards.
Yeah, don't ask for the library. Nerd alert. Nerd alert. Get this guy out of here. What's a library? I love this. This is great. Can you share an unique, memorable audition experience?
Boy, with auditions, and Brennan and I were talking about this earlier. Every audition is different, and I used to hate auditions. I really they bothered me. It was this major investment to see to see if I would even get a chance to be seen, and I just thought there was too much that was going to go into it. And then I kind of had a change of mind about it. I thought, boy, what a great opportunity to play! What a great opportunity to stretch my wings with nothing to lose. Try a role, or a character, add a character trait that you wouldn't normally do, and just try something a little different. And when you have a good audition piece, when you read it and it only takes you one or two reads, and suddenly you have the material, the material, two things click. One is that it's good writing, but it's good writing for your style of acting. So, there's some people who really like Old English, some people who really like, comedic script, some people who really like the slow-paced, dramatic, drawn out. And I think as an actor, if you read something and you're like, wow, man, that clicks, then you really get that step up. You really get that sense, I can do this. I can knock this out of the park. It's a comedy, and I know I'm hitting the jokes. I know that my reader is trying not to laugh because they're seeing something they haven't seen. But taking the chance, even the parts where you're like, I wouldn't normally play this part, a prince, for example, or a prince would be probably something I read for a couple weeks ago, and I thought I would never do that. I've never read for that role before, but I thought, what a great opportunity to not move, to move with my shoulders as opposed to my neck, and that sort of thing, and just to completely try something different. I didn't get the part, but
you took a risk, right? And I think that's one of the most important things, is that you need to be able to have the freedom to take those risks. Because if you don't, then you're just rigid. Like, you're just doing the same things over and over and over again, and you're not flexing any muscles. If you're not finding a way to take risk in a self-tape or an audition, then you're not doing what you need to do. You're just playing in the safe zone. And as a performer, you can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone's afraid of being of looking like they can't act because they took a chance and somebody looked at it and went, "Woo, boy, that stunk up the room." But we've all stunk up the room. Every actor who's ever gone on and done anything, anybody who's ever landed a role and auditioned more than once has stunk up the room at least once.
Oh yeah. We read a quote from the Mel Brooks autobiography, All About Me, a little while ago. And it was an ode to failure. And he talks about how, like, you have to fail. If you don't fail, you're never going to learn. And like, you need to fall flat on your face sometimes. And it's scary. It's not something we want to do, but it's a necessity so that you do get better. You gain more experience because you know how people are going to react. You know how to push those reactions and you can play with it more.
Certainly. And if you're using your instinct in the middle of it and you do something that that feels right at that moment. I always love when someone watches it afterwards and they go, "Oh my God, that was great. When you did that, when you hit the wall with your fist before you left that scene, that was great." And it wasn't in the scene, it wasn't written there, but it would just felt like something you should do. The instinct was there, and that pays off. So I don't know if there was a memorable moment from any one particular audition, but I'm always learning. I'm always learning, always trying to make the next audition better than the one before.
Well, go ahead, Peter.
No, and the other thing that I wanted to add there was that there's a certain amount of maturity that comes with those auditions, and you do get to a point in your head where you say, where you look back and go, "Man, thank God I didn't get that audition. Thank God I didn't get that role." And your friends go, what do you mean? Thank God you didn't get it. Don't you want it? Yeah, I want everything. Everything I auditioned for, I want that role. But better for me to not be cast in a role that I'm not suited for. So I don't need to show up and shoot a scene where someone is sitting on the side going, "Wow, this guy stinks. This casting is terrible." Or years later, someone's watching the DVD thinking, "Yikes!" Well, this is the brown stain on his the skid mark on this guy's
right.
The history of his resume because it was such a bad role to play. We have to trust casting directors, and it's a tough thing to do. But when you don't get cast, you got to go, "Okay, well, there's a reason for it," and and you hope that the person who did get cast is really, really fantastic. So that, and that you placed, that the casting director said, "Boy, they were memorable. They really had something. Let's see if we can find something for them later on."
Yeah, I love what you say there, Peter, too. We talk a lot about mindset and just your thoughts and just the perspective. Like, yeah, it's easy to think of either the drudgery of the time or all the energy and the investment. Oh, I'm going to spend an entire weekend learning these lines and rehearsing this scene to then maybe not get the parts, versus the attitude of, "Oh, this is an opportunity to play. This is an opportunity to create. This is an opportunity to express myself." And then you find joy in the process rather than only finding joy if you book it and everything else sucks and, "Oh, what a friggin' waste of time that is," and all the negative things that people can think. It's you've really switched that. But it's also interesting in your case, I bet part of that resentment of like, I'm spending all this time just to get the maybe is probably what spawned you creating BigTime Productions and doing all your own shows and creating all your own work, which we can talk about that a little later. And the one other thing too, I just wanted to highlight is you guys both mentioned it, is you said there's other reasons that you cannot get the part other than your performance. There's a million reasons. You could be amazing and they could have 50 people who are like, "Yeah, these are all talented, trained, super capable actors," but only one person can get it. So if we all get into a bout of depression when you don't book something, it's like you have no idea why you didn't get that. So it's about, did you feel strong about what you had control of, which is the audition? And if you can feel good about that, then you can wash your hands of it. And if they want you, they want you. And if they don't, then you're on to the next thing.
Yeah, completely. And you have to make sure that you're putting out good product. You got to make sure that your auditions are good. They're solid auditions, and that you're really proud of what you're doing. And I think if you work on it from that perspective, and we always hope that the cast director is going to come back with something positive, even if it's not an offer. But yeah, it is about mindset. And if you feel like you're getting better and better, and even if you're not landing the role, it's going to pay off eventually. You got to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think partly some internal validation of I'm doing good work versus did they like me? Did they like me? Do you approve? Am I an actor because you liked me? Was that good? Like that kind of energy is just it's bad for the soul, but it's just bad for business too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of actors, it's very easy to fall into that really negative mindset. Like look, I've donated all this time to put forward this audition and I'm not even getting any feedback. Look at everything that I'm doing. And so I think it's key that you really do flip it around. Now, I know people who audition all the time for stuff that they shouldn't audition for. And I know people who, put everything in their life secondary to audition when sometimes they should just turn down an audition. But if you're going to audition, you got to put your best foot forward. And right. you got to find a happy place in your brain to have fun with it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's talk about your process a little bit. So your agent, you get an email from your agent. Here's the deal. Here's the script. Here's a breakdown. From the time you get it to the time you shoot it, how does that look for Peter Dillon?
It all depends on how much time I have. So I just shot something, auditioned for something this afternoon, did a self-tape about half an hour before we got started here. And that came in yesterday and it was due today at 3:00. So that's a very quick turnaround. So I know I had to dedicate a certain amount of time to that fairly quickly. So I do a very quick scan of it to begin with. I read everything on the page, and then I break it down. And I almost read these sides backwards to see if what's being motivated, what the end effect should be, and how it is different from where I started. And there has to be movement in the character. It cannot be. You can't start and end with these on the same note, or we end up with flatlining, and we all know what flatlining means in a medical drama or in life. So you try to find something memorable within the sides, and what is it that you're going to do that's going to be perhaps a bit different than everyone else. Then I write out all my lines, just my lines, go over it, absorb those lines. And then I've got a wonderful reader who you guys know, my wonderful Erin, and she really puts my feet to the fire. She turns into a very tough negotiator. I shouldn't even say negotiator because there's no negotiating. Like, that sucks. You're not going to put that in with my voice on it. I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do to change it? Seriously. So she's great. She's wonderful. And she's a wonderful reader, and she's very critical. And which I think is really important with a reader, somebody who can actually give you their honest feedback without worrying about your ego. And sometimes we argue. Sometimes, she'll say, you're moving too much. And I'll say, I'm not moving too much. I'm happy with the amount I'm moving. There's a nervous energy and it has to be there. And she'll say, okay, I'm just telling you, you're wrong. So go ahead. Let's take a look at it. And shoot it a couple different times. And so she has a really critical eye. So we'll shoot it a bunch of times and, make sure that the eye lines are good and make sure that the pace is good, depending on whether it's whether it's a comedy, if it's a drama, if it's a film or television, what it is, and make sure the pacing is good and package and send it off. And the process that I use, I shoot everything on an iPhone, and within 7 minutes of having the take that I want or the takes that I want, I can have it packaged, uploaded, and sent off to my agent. So it's a very quick process. And sometimes if I'm on the move, I'll literally shoot it and then go on about my day, and I'll be, waiting for a flight or something, and I'll package it at that point as I'm sitting at the airport and have it sent off to my agent. So it's a very streamlined, easy process. And there are a lot of terrible things about COVID, but one of the good things is I think we ended up with this self-tape ability and the polished up skill set to be able to shoot good quality auditions. Let's face it, self-tapes are wonderful for the actor who maybe needs a couple kicks at the can to impress. And it's a great way to have a record of what you've done and how far you've come. So anyway, that's what my process basically looks at. It's pretty simple. If it's a really meaty role, like with Heartland, Heartland, I could tell that there was more to it, that there, even though they didn't say it, I had a very good idea of what could be with this character. So I really did a backstory on this character, so much so that when I did land the part and I went to shoot the first episode, I got talking to one of the executive producers over breakfast, actually, and he said, "So where do you see this character going?" And I knew, I just told him everything that I'd thought of, everything that I had come up with for the audition. And he said, "Wow, that's great. That's great. Stay tuned. Let's see what happens." And so that turned into 3 episodes so far. We're on break right now. We'll see if Heartland comes back next year, and hopefully Mike McCluskey does as well.
That's great. Yeah, that's like, it reminds me of the old Matthew McConaughey, know your guy. He's like, that's his number one tip. Really know who you are. And if you know that, then the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah, sorry, Lars, let me just interrupt there. I think if we only see the sides for the lines and not a character, I think that comes across on screen. I think a casting director can see a mile away. If you are regurgitating lines, they can see it. If there's no character there, if there's no history, if there's no reason for why this guy is presenting the way he is, if there's no real life behind him, behind those eyes, I think casting directors see that right away. And I think they either fast forward or they just stop and move on to the next clip.
Right. Or you just blend in with all the other reads. Like 80% of the reads are kind of flat like that. And then there's a few that stand out with something special.
Yeah.
Are you a horseman as well? Are you out there on the horse in the show?
Not yet. I took some riding lessons, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Special skills, adding those special skills.
Yeah.
And that shoots out in north of Calgary somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, in and around Calgary.
Right. So
within an hour and 20-minute loop around Calgary.
Beautiful. Yeah, the sets and the landscape looks beautiful in that show. So I'm sure those are fun days.
Yeah, the environment is certainly one of the characters in the show. You know, it's so beautifully shot, and even being in transport, going to set, going to High River or something, and you're just looking at the window and getting really lost in the scenery, and being able to see forever. Just a really beautiful place to shoot, and they're a great family. They really are a family. I was very worried when I shot my first scene with them, because it was a kitchen table scene, so where the whole family comes together. So I knew Michelle Morgan. I did a movie with Michelle before. Michelle plays Lou on Heartland. And so when I got cast, she sent me a note saying, "Hey, Pete, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing you on set." But I come on as this guy who has this history with Tim, one of the main characters. And I sit down at the dining room or the kitchen table and go through this whole spiel. And I really run my mouth off during this first time meeting all these people sitting at the table. And I mean, they know each other so well. They know the process so well. We were on the studio lot, and the AD said to me, "Okay, they're waiting for you on set. Go ahead." And I walked over to a building. I'm like, where's the door? Like, how do I don't even, so they had to show me where the door was. And then you're, in this great big dark warehouse. I'm like, someone's going to have to bring me to set here. I have no idea. It's a massive warehouse. And I get there and I thought, boy, I have to fake every ounce of confidence right now as I step on set. And I've got to be, when I walk through the door, I cannot be Pete Dillon waiting to see where I fit in. I've got to show them that I'm Mike McCluskey and I do fit in. And so I took a step through the door and I said, "Hey, everybody, I'm here." And luckily, Michelle jumped up right away and said, "Pete," and broke the ice right there. But I just thought this would be a terrible way to kind of be meek and sit back and wait for the show to come to me. I think I would have lost a lot of energy and a lot of confidence in the entire thing, and in myself, actually. So.
Yeah, that's such a that's a very intelligent insight to be able to recognize like that. Oh, actor thoughts are affecting character thoughts here, and I can't let my human actor anxieties in this moment affect the real moment that we're actually supposed to be shooting. That's really
I think sometimes, or oftentimes, actors get caught up in the actors that they're working with, and they research them and they know all about them, and they psych themselves out. it's so easy to get lost in who you're working with. I try to do very little research on the people that I'm working with. I consider their characters. 24 years ago, I did The Bone Collector, and I met, Angelina Jolie and Denzel Washington, and I had a very, very small role. But as we were standing around the first day, we were in the studio in Montreal, in what was Denzel's character's loft, and we're walking around, and he's in a hospital bed, and people are milling about, and some of the actors I was working with were staring at him, just gobsmacked. And I wasn't paying any attention to him. And walking around, and it was because I wasn't paying any attention to him, just doing my thing, that I actually got into a conversation with him. And he said, "Come on over here." And he was lying there in the bed, and he had been given photos, actual crime scene photos of this guy who had killed himself in Central Park. One of the consultants on the set, I believe his name was Hal Sherman, was a real New York police officer, and he had these photos, and Denzel Washington wanted to see these photos. So he's flipping through them, and he says, "Hey, did you see these?" And everyone stopped and looked over, and they saw that he was talking to me, and I actually didn't believe that he was talking to me. I'm like, huh? I think it was even better, because I really didn't care if he was talking to me. And he goes, "No, come here." And I basically nudged up on the bed beside him, and we were looking at these photos, and the actors are going by, going, "What the hell? What?" And it was just because it wasn't paying any special attention to him. So, but it was a great experience many years ago. But I just don't focus on who I'm working with.
A heartwarming moment with Denzel looking at murder pictures.
Yeah.
No other way to spend a magical afternoon, huh?
Great. Well, Peter, you've preemptively answered our next question, but maybe we go a little deeper, or you can add another one. Normally, we're asking about unforgettable on-set experiences. I know you've got Heartland. You just mentioned that one. Is there any others that you want to share?
Heartland is probably certainly one of my favorites. It's such a great experience, and it's a great story and really great actors. But I've been blessed to work with a lot of different folks in different environments. I shot an episode of Nikita in Hamilton one night, and I was scheduled to shoot a project called MMA Super 8 in Montreal the next morning. They had to move the schedule around, and then we had freezing rain. And so the producers were trying to get me to Montreal, and they had a Johnny Hendricks, I believe his name was, a MMA fighter who was a champ fighter, on set waiting to shoot at the Bell Center the next day. So I was dealing with Maggie Q one night with where she punches me in the head and flips me over with a gun in her hand, and then being taken very quickly and driven through the night to Montreal to get there by 8 o'clock in the morning to shoot that project. So I had a lot of really good, fun experiences working with a lot of great actors. I've been blessed. Some actors are not as gracious as others. They're kind of into their own process, maybe a bit too deep. But there's been a lot of great chances to sit and talk and feel like you're part of the family. But again, especially with Heartland, I got to say Heartland is certainly one of my faves for sure.
Can you share just a few on-set tips? Like if you were to put together the Pete Dillon's on-set success list, just a few of what you would say?
Yeah, first off, I would say be the greatest person that anybody has ever worked with. And I don't mean greatest actor, as greatest person. Be the nicest, the kindest, the friendliest, the loveliest. Leave the set better than you arrived. So, and be memorable for all the right reasons, and be forgiving when you are dealing with actors who perhaps don't have as good a grasp on their material as perhaps you do, or perhaps production had hoped, or maybe they're having a bad day. Just be forgiving. It's not your battle to fight, and be supportive of that actor. The day will come when you will need that support. You will need that someone to get that. But just be the best person. When I did Bone Collector, 24 years ago, I worked with Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill memorized everybody's name on set, every crew member's name, and when he arrived, he would say good morning to everybody. If you're not an actor, you would probably know that probably don't know that regardless of the time of day, when your day starts on a project, you say good morning because it is your morning. So even if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you still say good morning to each other. And Ed would say good morning, and he would learn everyone's name. And if he didn't get someone's name right, or if he didn't know someone's name, he would stop and get their name. And the next day he'd come in and say it. And boy, I thought, here's a guy who doesn't have to do this. And he makes it a point, and he becomes extra memorable in the best possible way for that. And so let me back up and tell a story that I wasn't going to tell. And that is the last day that I was shooting on Heartland. I flew into Calgary. Usually the flight arrives there at 10 a.m. I usually sleep at 2 o'clock for a couple hours so that I'm good to go. And I go to bed at like 6 o'clock, usually in the next morning, 5:30 or 6 o'clock call time, which was the case my last day on set. I wasn't going to tell this story. And so that's fine. I arrived. I couldn't sleep. I spent my day walking around, tried everything, could not sleep. And I went and had dinner at 5 o'clock. And at 5:30, I got my call time. 5:30 the next morning, they were going to pick me up. And I had 3 full scenes that were completely rewritten. And so I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I know I've got to get to bed. I know I'm exhausted, but I got to learn completely. They completely changed these lines. They even flipped lines and gave the guy I was working with, Tim, they gave him a lot of my lines and gave me all brand new lines. I thought, oh my God. So I was worried about it. Anyway, I had dinner, went back to the hotel, set my phone. My charger wasn't long enough, put the phone on the bed beside me, went to sleep. 5:30 call time. Set my alarm to go off at like 4:30 so I get up and shower. And at 7:30 or 6:30 rather, I wake up and I look at the alarm and I go, hang on, it can't be 6:30 because maybe the time changed. What? No, I rolled over, the pillow covered my phone, and someone was pounding on the door. They were trying to get security in to open the door to get me out of bed to wake me up to get set. Transport was there. We were shooting an hour out of town. And I thought, oh my God. And they said, come on, they finally got in touch. I said, I'll be right out. And I said, no, come out now. I said, look, I got a shower. I just woke up. Give me 15 minutes. I'll see you down transport. Got showered. In 15 minutes, I was down there, and I apologized profusely. I've never, ever in my career, never been late for a shoot. Never, never missed anything. I'm always the guy who's there, and I'm there early. So I couldn't believe it. And that hour was a very, very long ride to set. And I thought, boy, I really cooked myself on this. I'm trying to leave a positive experience, a positive, reputation, a positive impact on the people I work with. And this happens. And now I'm shooting my 3rd episode. And I thought, oh man, I can't believe it. So I call Erin, my partner, and I say to her, this is what happened. And she said, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I said, I can't do anything. I'm going to say a little prayer. I'm going to say my apologies, and I'm going to hope that everything works out. And I've got to get out, and I've got to be as professional as possible. And I have to make sure that I'm delivering. I'm firing on all cylinders, and I'm going to focus right now on learning these lines. And that's what it's going to be. And I hung up the phone, and the driver put her hand back and said, hold my hand. I held her hand. She said a prayer, which really touched me. We got to set a little bit later, and I apologized to everybody, and everybody's like, what are you talking about? They wouldn't have been ready anyway. Now, look, we arrive an hour late on set. They would have been ready. But everybody was so, so gracious. And their concern became, you have all these new lines. Are you going to be okay with it? And I thought, yeah, don't you worry about that. I'm going to do everything that's in my control. And I didn't miss a line. I didn't miss a beat. The day was my greatest day on set, the best experience I ever had. And it taught me that I can rely on myself. It taught me that, things happen, that you got to be prepared. And it taught me, boy, everyone has a bad day. You better be prepared to support other people when they have theirs. So.
Yeah, that's a great story. What a horrible feeling. Yeah. You must have been mortified. Yeah.
I thought they were going to either write me out of the scenes or fire me.
Right. Yeah, and especially your reputation. Like Brennan and I know you working from shows, and call times are important, and you're always there when you need to be, and early too. But that's a great example of like, yeah, what do you do when you do fuck up, and how do you recover from that gracefully and professionally without some people make that even a bigger deal, where maybe if all day you kept continually apologizing, then you let it get in your head, and then you were apologizing on set, and it fucked up the scenes and all that stuff, then it would have been like, oh my God, this Peter guy.
Exactly. And we've all been with actors who come to set with a story. I didn't sleep last night.
Right.
Oh, I'm not feeling well. Or it's like a precursor for the terrible acting that they're about to deliver. And they don't see it that way. They think, oh yeah, I've covered all the bases. But you never ever want to have an excuse. You want to make sure that your work speaks for itself, and you want to make sure that you don't slink away. You don't try to blame somebody else. You don't hand off an excuse. And I just thought I've got to face the music here. And the first thing I did when I went right to production, I said, I am so sorry. I have no excuse for you. This has never happened, and I hope you forgive me. They're like, oh yeah, which is the right thing for them to do, frankly, because had they come down on me, I would have had an absolute terrible day. It would have been really a miserable experience. So it all completely worked out. But it's just another reason why I really love the Heartland folks a lot, and it's just been a great experience.
On the topic of excuses, in Toronto, it's the TTC or traffic. Any big city, it's the traffic. It's like, well, you knew traffic and subways and everything is slow. Like, you're just not leaving early enough. Like, why is that always your excuse? Yeah. Interesting. We want to talk a little bit about BigTime, because you were also the founder. You're the director and the what's the director of crime and punishment.
No, punishment.
Punishment. Right. I blew it. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah. How did I blow that? Yeah, that's way funnier. of BigTime Productions, BigTime Murder Mystery Ottawa, Murder Mystery Toronto. Brandon and I have worked in those interactive shows, corporate, charity, special events, birthday parties, anniversaries. So talk a little bit about BigTime, how you created that and how that's going.
It's a pretty common story, I think, for a lot of actors. You're hoping to audition a lot, but then you get a job and you're hoping you don't audition a lot during work hours, because you're going to get you're going to get canned for missing another day. And so early on, 31 years ago, I thought I better start my own company. I better do something that I enjoy doing, so that if the boss is mad at me, it's me. And so I started. It was called BigTime Comedy to begin with, and then BigTime Productions, and then BigTime Murder Productions. But originally, it was an entertainment brokerage where you could do anything from book a murder mystery to a balloonogram to a DJ and anything else. And then in short order, I realized the murder mysteries were just so much fun, and we were having so much success with them, and really bringing out the comedic element of murder mysteries, because at that time, murder mystery dinner theater was very serious. And, you really, the audience had to think that they were really seeing a murder, and they were really going to be stumped. And if you could really stump them, boy, you must have done a great job. And I thought, no, let's go with the comedic side of things. So, I started that. I started Murder Mystery Ottawa and Murder Mystery Toronto as their own kind of entities within under the BigTime Murder Productions umbrella, and it's been great. Entertaining people all over the world. One of my favorite stories is getting the call from the Canadian military asking if we can put together a high morale show that's funny, it's fast paced, to entertain the troops in the Persian Gulf as part of Operation Apollo in January 2003. And we said, well, we're not going to do a murder mystery. That's not appropriate. And they said, no, it wouldn't be. So I said, well, what do we have all these comedic elements, like comedic acts that we do within our murder mysteries. What if we take that and sew it together into a variety show, into a 60-minute variety show? And they said, yeah, talk to us about that, pitch it. And I started talking. I didn't have a show. I just started talking. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, I love it. Oh my God, write that up, send it to us, and let's do it. So we did. We went to the Persian Gulf and boarded the plane from Petawawa, Ontario, from the base, and with a whole bunch of other performers, a bunch of dancers, and there was a comedian, and Barney Bentall was one of the musical acts, and Tony D. And we just this wonderful family. We all kind of got together to produce this 2-hour show, and we didn't know where the door closed, and they said, "Okay, this is what's happening. We're stopping in Greece, and then we're going to end up in Dubai, and we'll be entertaining both on frigates, the Canadian frigates, as well as in the middle of the desert." And so that's what we did. It was really amazing. That was one of our best experiences. But also we entertained in St. Maarten, and folks arriving at St. Maarten. We did 10 days there. We were treated like rock stars. We did in Bermuda. We had our show that I talk about with the Canadian Forces. That turned into our Big Time Idol variety show, as both you guys know, because you both starred in that show. Very funny, fast-paced show. Audiences love it. And that show we brought to Bermuda, and the Bermuda Tourism bought that show to entertain folks arriving to their island. I think it was back in 2007. So we've had a lot of success in that way. But of course, Meat and Potatoes is entertaining groups of 10 to 2,000 people with our do-it-yourself dinner party mysteries, or our U-Done-Its, we call them, or our full caliber shows where we have the full cast of professional performers playing them, or our Big Time Idol variety show. And then, of course, COVID happened. And I don't know if you guys know, but COVID actually, wiped out a lot of business, wiped them out.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it made a couple of newspapers, and so we went from from having a record-breaking year to zero revenue business overnight. There wasn't a lot of room for up close, interactive, immersive entertainment, live entertainment, when everyone was worried about wearing a mask and not talking to anybody and staying home. So it took about 7 weeks, and I designed our show called Zoom Mystery. I started a new company called ZoomMystery.com, where we took our kind of you-done-it mysteries, put them into a Zoom format, and had our best year ever from May 2020 to 2021. It was our best year ever, entertaining groups all over the world, but primarily the U.S., Texas, California, New York, and Florida. A lot of call center employees and that sort of thing. And so we filled ourselves, the timeline really, really well, filled our schedules during COVID. And of course, now we're back. So it's been really wonderful to be able to work the two things together. I say to Aaron, there's always something happening. Either we're really busy with shows or really busy with auditions, and they always kind of merge, and they always have kind of worked together over the last 31 years anyway, with Big Time being around. So it's been great.
Where's the best place for people to look up which website for Big Time? Is it BigTimeMurder.com?
BigTimeMurder.com for the mothership. And if you're in Toronto, MurderMysteryToronto.com. And if you're in Ottawa, MurderMysteryOttawa.com. In Ottawa, we do public shows as well. So currently we're running a show called Harry Karaoke about once a month. So you can see that, MurderMysteryOttawa.com.
Beautiful. I just put Big Time Murder. Brandon, you can put the others in the comments there. That's amazing what you've done. Not only did you create work for yourself, but I think you've transcended a certain level of artist where for a lot of people, just scrapping it together to make a living by themselves and pay bills that's a huge undertaking. But then the next level of creating other opportunities and helping other actors, like there's been many Christmases that I've had more presents for my families, because I've had more money in my pocket from all the Christmas work and holiday parties that we do with Big Time. So thank you for all that work that you provide. And I know that sometimes you are casting. We have our audience is actors. I referred Brandon to you after meeting Brandon, and I've had the opportunity to refer lots of brilliant comedians and actors here in Toronto to you. So what's the best way for someone to reach out to you for casting opportunities?
Yeah, you can send an email to casting@murdermysterytoronto.com. And I got to plug you two guys, because you two guys you're not just great performers but you take great responsibility for the audience. And you can tell when someone loves what they do, when they love being an entertainer, when they care so much about the audience. And you guys are both very funny, very fast paced, and you can carry the room. And so anytime you've got talent like you guys, where the actors that you're working with will stop what they're doing and watch you, because you're so very engaging, is really quite a sign. So anybody listening out there, when you hear that these guys are in a show, come out and see them in a show, because they're both spectacularly talented in that respect as well.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen Brandon the BK Broilers dance, just watch his dance moves. Donnie the Love God and the dance moves. Yeah, he dances up a storm. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, and those are great gigs. They're very flexible for actors. They're tons of fun. They're usually in swanky venues. We get often well fed at the venue as well. Short call times, not a ton of rehearsal time necessary, well paid. So yeah, it's great opportunities. And I know in your busy season, often you've got multiple shows and multiple casts out. You got a couple shows in Ottawa happen, a couple here. So it's great. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And I wanted to plug this. There it is. This is the Big Time Murder mug shot, knocking them dead since 92.
Yeah.
92 was a good year. The Blue Jays win the World Series for the first time, and Peter Dillon starts Big Time Murder.
I can't take all the credit for the Blue Jays' success.
But most of it. Most of
really
it.
fired them up. They're like, Murder Mysteries. This is exactly what we needed. Yeah. Pete, what advice would you give to your past actor, artist, former self?
I think just what I said before. Look at every project differently. Treat everybody with the ultimate respect. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's an easy thing to do, especially if you achieve a little success. I think your ego can run away on you sometimes. And be great support for the young actor. Look out for the people who are on set who have less experience than you do, and talk to them. Ask them if they need something. We're in this together, and we all look better when we all are comfortable and gelling. And just be nice to people. Treat everyone with respect, and look out to see what you can do to be kind to your fellow actor, because boy, we got a tough job. We got a really tough job. And when it's all on the line there, we know when we've had a bad day. Be supportive of each other and celebrate each other. And that's really a really big thing. Every actor thinks that they're the right person for the part. How many times have I heard somebody say, "Oh, I can't believe they got cast in that part. I could have done it so much better." Yeah, but they got it and you didn't. So celebrate them, pat them on the back, find a way to really celebrate them, and maybe they'll celebrate you too when your turn comes. But we're not competing against each other. We're competing against ourselves. And fame and success on screen is a matter of timing. It's a matter of the right part at the right time for the right actor, being seen by the right people. And show me any famous person, any movie star, and if their timing wasn't just perfect, if they didn't have that right part at the right time, we wouldn't know who they are. So keep swinging for the fence, and who knows, and enjoy every ounce of success that you get. Enjoy every opportunity that you get. And, if you're enjoying it all the time, then you don't need to be cast in order to feel like you've really won the game here.
I'm going to give you snaps for that one.
Boy.
That was great. A lot of that was great advice, not just for actors, but just for the world in general. So everyone who hears that, like, be kind to people, respect people, know that you're all on the same team. It's like, if the globe ever needs that kind of advice, it's right now. So.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone, actor or no actor, be kind, respect people, take care of people around you, and have fun. Now, future aspirations. You've got a great career behind you, but we want to know, what's your dream project that you want to create? What's next? What's on the horizon? What does Peter Dillon dream about at night?
Well, there's always part of me that wants to have another series and a regular starring or supporting role in a big series, a big American series. So I hold out for that, and I hope that that's going to come my way. And I love doing the big time shows so much that I want to keep doing them. In fact, I want to open up a office in Florida. And that's my big dream when it comes to retiring. One day I'm going to retire on the beach, and I'm going to be producing dinner theater shows, or not even dinner theater. I mean, just interactive entertainment on the beach, and entertaining tourists, and giving actors a chance to make some money and entertain others, and kind of take the formula that's worked so far and use it there. And who knows, maybe I'll get back into teaching, or to having an acting school. I don't know. I love that being an actor, you end up with so many transferable talents or skills, and the improbability ensures that you land on your feet. So I'm like you two guys. You'll never be unemployed. You'll never be underemployed. You'll always find something to do. And if that means putting yourself out, in a play or doing stand up, you're going to do it. You're going to do it, and you'll find a way to enjoy it and have fun and make some coin too.
Sha-la-la-la. That was great. One thing I just want to go back. You mentioned ego, not letting successes affect your ego that way. One of our mentors, Tom Todoroff, often says, your ego will ruin every blessing in your life. Your ego is not your amigo. And that's a great lesson. And you see that every day in TMZ world, where it's like, how could someone have everything they could possibly ever dreamed of having and then figure out a way to fuck it all up? And it's ego that does that. So thank you for that reminder too. Mm-hmm. Brandon, anything else? I think we're bringing this podcast ship home, aren't we?
Home. Oh yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Pete. This was great.
My pleasure. Great episode, Peter. Thank you for all the listeners. Make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are looking at. And if you want to check out more from Actors Audition Club, hit us up at Actors Audition Club on Instagram, or you can go to laughingvikings.com. Make sure to check out BigTimeMurder.com. And Peter Dillon, if you're an actor or if you're looking to book a corporate show, private dinner theater show, and who knows, maybe you'll get Brandon and I as the cast. Brandon, you might be getting all three. You could have all three of us in your living room for your next birthday party right now. Go to BigTimeMurder.com. We appreciate you so much, Pete. Thank you for all the work you provided for us. It's been a pleasure and a joy to do so many shows with you. So we love you. We appreciate you. And
thank you.
Here's to more fun.
Right on. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your talents, guys, and thanks for this opportunity. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Right. Peter Dillon, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.